Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Haynes. I'm an audiobook narrator and a teacher of narration,
And I'm Trenton Bennett, and I'm also an audiobook narrator.
and we are here to give tips and share little bits of wisdom that we have based on our practice of doing audiobooks professionally. This is something that is welcome for people who are just starting audiobooks, who haven't started but are audiobook curious, and people who are seasoned but want to just keep absorbing more and more and more and more and more. Um, what I'd like to talk about today is the process and the option of annotating text. What I do is the reason why I do this in the first place is it helps me engage with the text even more actively. Um, and so I can track and have a lot more fun with it also. I can track and I can anticipate where things are headed mood-wise. It's a really, really simplified thing. And this is actually terrible acting advice because with acting, you don't want to do mood, you want to do action. You want to do wants and steps that you take to get what you want. Well, okay, fair enough. And that's not what I'm doing here. What I do is when I'm facing a text, I take first of all, I always ask the author for a Word doc of the text. That way I can manipulate it very easily. What I do is I will select the text. I will keep selecting, selecting, selecting when it seems like the story has taken a turn for the worse. If something is a little sour, if something is going wrong, I will select, 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 be reading along as I select. Then if it seems like there's an upswing, if a character is taking positive action or something is going well or there's a moment of humor, I stop there. I turn the font that I've selected, or not the font, but the letters I've selected, I turn them dark blue. And then I go along and read the upswing, and then what seems like the upswing goes into yet another downturn. I click select, and I keep selecting. Now, that's what I do. What I find is that when I'm in the studio and I'm working the text, I then get into a nice groove of being able to take a nice little pause when something goes wrong and then get really into the momentum, the build, the build of the things that are going wrong, and then lighten myself up a bit. It's, I guess, the equivalent of when stuck in the snow. I grew up in Maine, so I know a little bit about this. When a car is stuck in the snow, you roll it back and forth and back and forth, and eventually you get enough traction to get out. Why? Because you've already got you're basically paving the snow as you are rocking back and forth. Well, this likewise paves my way, so I've got more leverage. That's what I do. Trenton, what about you?
I think it's really interesting that instead of highlighting it, which some people do, you're changing the text color blue.
Mm.
Cognitively, if you've ever played those brain games that are designed to get your brain thinking and trying to multitask, one of the
Mhm.
brain games they'll do is like they'll show a color, they'll show letters that are red, but it'll say the word blue and tell you to say out loud what color the letters are to get your brain organized in how it processes. Am I looking at the words or am
Ah,
I looking at the color? When you're doing it that way and you're changing the color of the text instead of highlighting, I imagine that makes it easier to flip that cognitive switch and really start to lean into the feeling of that scene. That's kind of cool.
yeah, no, it works really well. I perhaps when I'm in a situation of PDF, I will not have no choice but to do PDF. Then I'll do the highlight. But yeah, no, it does. You're right. It does sort of create a nice little sort of. It creates just a psychological um dial-in. That's really really nice. It literally colors the text. So now what sorts of things have you done before with annotation?
Well, I'm going to have to try that because some of the techniques that I showed in October, I did a presentation on audiobook prep over at Rhonda Phillips' Late Night VO Secrets. It was a lot of fun, but what I was showing was I was using a Word doc so that I could annotate. When you put comments in the Word doc, you've got a space in the right-hand margin where particular notes can be flagged, and that text is kind of highlighted so you know. And so there were times I would do that for pronunciation of a word. because there was one particular word that was the Korean name of a submarine that was long and difficult for me to remember to pronounce correctly.
Uh-huh,
So I
uh-huh.
would just doot, 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 copy paste that all the way down, the phonetics
Yes.
pronunciation of that one.
Yes. Yeah, I do
But
that
I
too.
also would do that sometimes when I'd say, okay, here's the big reveal. He's being betrayed. He's really angry now. That kind of thing. But it would be better if I condition myself to simply put moods and colors together than to have to be reading and I'm 3 or 4 sentences ahead with my eyeballs as my mouth is moving and I flick over to that comment and then I have to think about, oh yeah, this is my note to myself to lean into the anger here. Make it red.
Right, exactly, exactly. It's funny that as we talk about this, I think I'm sure as a person in your field, you certainly know a lot of hacks and know a lot of ways to work smarter, not harder. I think in this case, this is sort of like the opposite of like work harder, not smarter. In other words, doing all this sweat prep to prep the text. I used to be of a mindset of like, well, no, I shouldn't. I should be able to pick up on the subtle nuances in the moment and that sort of thing. But yeah, yeah. I mean, what's on your mind with that?
I think you got it, but it's more like prep harder, narrate smarter.
Right. Oh, I like that. Prep harder, narrate smarter. I got to remember that for the title of this. Oh
Things
goodness.
seem to go so much more smoothly when I've got my prep work done. When I've taken
Yeah.
that time to do it, even if it seems a little intensive, once I get in there, it's just, I have a good day.
Yeah. And everybody, take note of what works for you when prepping. What do you seem to really need? And don't be embarrassed about what you really need, and don't feel guilty about what you don't need. Choose your prep, but do know that prep is essentially the great way to cheat, and if you're having trouble getting a certain thing out of a performance, or if you're feeling nervous about something, cheat and do it first, do it beforehand first, and then do it for real. All right, everybody. Well, that's terrific. My name is Matt Haynes,
And I'm Trenton Bennett.
and as your narrators and helpers of narration techniques, I hope that our voices in your ears meet again real soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Matt.